Hi everyone, my name is Julie. This is Keep Calm with Books and Coffee, and today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in the first half of April. This is my mid-April wrap-up, and I didn't get this up quite in time like I wanted to. I'm realizing that the longer when I work weekends, several weekends in a row, or I have several busy weekends in a row, I just don't read as much, and then I don't feel like making videos. So that's something that I have to work on being okay with myself, because I don't want to, this is a hobby for me. I don't want to like go crazy about it, but I realize that I get stressed out about that because I'm not reading and not making videos. But this is a little late because of that. Anyway, I have 4 books to talk about that I'm going to talk about today, and then I already have more books that I'm going to talk about next week in my end of April wrap up, but I wanted to just talk about the 4 that I finished in the first half of the month before I forget any more about them. So the first one I finished this month was The Witch King by H.E. Edgemon. This was a holdover from not quite finishing this during the trans rights readathon. I really enjoyed this. I listened to the audiobook, and in this we're following Wyatt, who is a young trans man who he fled his community a few years ago. He's basically been on the run from them for the last couple of years. In the community where he grew up, Wyatt was one of very few witches that existed there. The predominant group is Fae, and witches are also the children of Fae, but they have different magic, and they are sort of ostracized and shunned and not accepted as much. But Wyatt was engaged to the Prince of the Fae through a fated mates type trope. So when Amir, the Prince of the Fae, comes to find Wyatt and take him home, or back to where he grew up, Wyatt doesn't want to go, but he goes along in order to fulfill a blood pact that was made, and sort of an obligation that he has to go back and at least try to figure this out. So he takes a friend along, and the 3 of them go back and try and confront a usurper that is trying to take Amir's throne. There's a lot of other stuff that happens in this book, but that's where we start off. And I really enjoyed this. I thought it was fantastic. Like I said, the audiobook was really good. I want to jump into the second book in this series really soon, because a lot happened at the end of this book and I don't want to forget it. So I'm going to be picking up book 2 ASAP, and I think it's just a duology. I just was very easily won over by Wyatt, and I wanted to root for him, and I did. So maybe other people wouldn't feel that way, but I just felt like every time Wyatt, even when he was screwing up and I knew he was screwing up, I was like, Wyatt, please just go make whatever decision you want to make. I'm rooting for you. Keep going. And I felt like throughout the book he was learning and growing and, you know, working through some of this stuff that he was holding, and some of the anger that he was working through. And I just really loved his character growth and development throughout this book. I thought the world system was really interesting. It's not super well developed. Sort of this Fae world that we're in is just the backdrop for the conflicts between Wyatt and Amir and their families and friends and the community at large. So it wasn't super important, but I thought it was good for what it was. The other thing I liked about this book was that Edgemon kind of includes these social issues that are present in our world, in the human world, into this Fae fantasy world. So things like climate change and pollution and water rights and obviously trans discussions. So Edgemon does such a good job of creating a discussion around all of these social issues within the magical community. Things that come up there that they're dealing with can all be related back to our human issues. And I thought Edgemon just did such a good job of talking about all of those things and relating them back to political and social issues that teens would have to know about or would be confronted with in their own lives. And they're magical, but you know, they're still real things. So I thought that was great. I really enjoyed this book. Like I said, I will be continuing. Then I reread Clean Sweep by Ilona. This is the 3rd book in the Innkeeper Chronicles, which I've talked a lot about on this channel, I think recently. I've been trying to read like one of these a month. I'm trying to read 2 this month because I missed reading this in March. But in this, we're following Dina, who is an innkeeper on Earth. Earth is a sort of waypoint in the galaxy, and there are inns there that different alien species can stay at in safety. And throughout this, Dina has accepted different alien species into her home and built like a little found family in her inn as far as the innkeeper and like her guests go. And in this book, we go rescue Dina's sister and then also have to provide sanctuary to an alien race that is being hunted by another alien race. And Dina does this, and it results in a full out like possible onslaught from this aggressive alien race. And Dina's like biggest goals are to keep her guests safe and also to keep aliens a secret from Earth. I love this series. This one is another great installment in the series. I think this one kind of ties with the first book in my ranking of the series because there's so much going on in this book. We have a lot of different plot lines. We introduce Maud, which is Dina's sister, who is like my favorite character in this series. She's so fantastic. Dina and Sean are trying to figure themselves out. Arland is back. Like, we have a lot of moving pieces in this book, and I really enjoy that. The romance pieces are a little bit of a much quieter undercurrent in here, but I still really just love Dina and the world building that we do in here, and I love how she is fierce and a fighter for her guests and protecting people that she cares about, and I just love it. I also just love all the little like pieces that get put into place in this series, and the more I reread it, the more I see, and I just love that about this. The Andrews do an excellent job of world building as always, and I love their characters. Their main female leads are so fantastic, strong, and smart, and I will continue to read and reread their series because I love them. Next up was Strangelove by Anne Aguirre, and this is a alien romance that I was recommended by a friend for the Magical Readathon prompt, and this follows Xyler and I think it's Beryl, who she is a human woman and he is an alien. He accidentally abducts her after some coordinate miscalculations, and they go back to his home planet where they have to compete in a set of challenges in order to see if they are worthy of becoming parents. So the two of them go through these, and Xyler is consistently worried that one of his siblings is going to steal Byler away, and Byler doesn't really know what's going on this planet because it's much more advanced than Earth. We have a talking dog, and we also have this like competition style mating game. And this was fun. I had a good time with it. It's not overly complex. We just have our sort of soft hero who is not, he has an exoskeleton, but he has a soft heart. He is very sweet. He's very concerned about Beryl and like if she's comfortable and if she is getting everything she needs. And Beryl is resourceful and fierce and funny, and the two of them, you know, have to try and figure out each other and their cultures and what's going on, and it's just pretty sweet. I enjoyed it. I don't know if I liked it enough to continue on with the series, but I did have a good time and I thought this was a fun read. Then the last one I read in the beginning half of the month was The Witch Boy by Molly Knox Ostertag. I have read from Ostertag before. I believe they also wrote the it's the one about the seal, I'll put it here, the girl who went to the sea or something like that. So I knew I enjoyed their themes, and I also enjoyed their graphic novel style. So this was very sweet, and this we're following Aster, who is a young boy who all the people in his community are either witches or werewolves. The boys have to be werewolves and the girls have to be witches, and no one is allowed to learn the other gender's magic. But Aster is really drawn to witchcraft, and he is very drawn to the lessons there, even though people keep trying to push him into being a werewolf. And then there is a series of events where the young boys who are like learning to be werewolves start disappearing, and Aster believes he might have the ability to help, but people are also worried that he is doing this. So it's a graphic novel, so I don't want to get too much further into it, but this was beautiful. I loved this so much. I loved Aster's little friend that he makes off in like the human world. I loved how he was brave and searched out this magic and knew what he wanted and was learning all the witch stuff. I really loved the just whole story arc of this, and I don't have a ton to say because it is a graphic novel and it's pretty short, but it's just incredibly sweet and warm and welcoming, and I just really loved the themes. I just really loved how this was not too dark, even though there were like demons and stuff involved. It reminded me a little of Mooncakes, in that there's things in here where our character is trying to be them true selves, and they have to confront people who don't want them to change the status quo or do what they think should be done, but it's never overly hostile or threatening. Like, it's a tense conversation, it's difficult, but I love that these like middle grade books are like soft and hopeful and kind and have great themes in them. So it was just a really nice little book to read, and I really enjoyed it. Anyway, those are the 4 books that I read in the first half of April. I'm hoping to have at least 4 more to talk about to you very soon. But that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see me again, go ahead and hit that subscription button down below, and I will see you next time. Bye!